said it, it's a big night for me. This is the first time ever that anyone has pronounced my name correctly. Thank you. Alright, story. I was born with a Soviet passport. And my Soviet passport said that I was Jewish, which is pretty much the only Jewish thing about me. My parents never taught me anything about my people's culture or traditions or religion, which is probably for my own safety, because when your government tracks you using passports, wearing a yarmulke on your head, it's like painting a giant target, right? So this is the kind of stuff, this is the reason why my family moved to the United States when I was 15. And in the United States, you actually have advantages to being Jewish. Like when I was 25, I discovered that being born Jewish gave me a right to visit Israel for free. It's called the birthright trip. And you have to, yes, a lot of you probably went. And you have to pass a phone interview to prove that you're Jewish. And I don't have much time, but I'll reproduce this interview for you in its entirety. Hi, I want to go on the birthright trip. Are you Jewish? Yes. Welcome to the birthright trip. That was way too easy. They didn't even ask any of the trick questions, like name 3 of the greatest Jewish baseball players of all time. For those of you still wondering, the correct answer is there aren't that many. So I was relieved at being accepted so unconditionally as a member of the tribe, but I still worried that I wasn't Jewy enough to go on this trip. But as I arrived to the JFK airport in New York and looked at the rest of my birthright group, my worries started dissipating because I could see that I was not the only one cheating the system. Yeah, like there was this one Australian girl there with her boyfriend. The boyfriend looked clearly Jewish, so the girl had some Jewish in her sometimes. But it definitely wasn't from birth. It probably wasn't much. I mean, he wasn't one of those black Jews, so... I'm just saying, there are more Australian Jewish-looking people out there, like koala bears, or... Rachel knows what I'm talking about. She was not Jewish-looking. Not Jewish-looking at all. Alright, so seeing her made me calm down about my situation until I saw between me and the ticket counter a line of uniforms, and the uniforms were questioning the people ahead of me in line. And so I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have pot in my jock. My employer's watching at home, that's an inside joke. Michael and me. No, I thought, oh my God, this is the birthright police. And they're going to identify me and my new Aussie friend over there as imposters. What I didn't know at the time was that they were not the birthright police, and they didn't care about how Jewish I was. They were the profilers, or the human lie detectors for the Israeli airline El Al, on which we were flying to Israel, our whole group. And so, not knowing this though, so they didn't care about how Jewish I was, they just cared about us not having explosives in our backpacks, or for that matter, pot in our jocks. But not knowing this, I felt the inverse of what Jews have felt for generations when questioned by people in uniforms. I felt the panic that they would think that I was not Jewish. And so, my turn comes and I approach my interrogator, and she asks, are you Jewish? I say, yes. Do you go to a synagogue? No. Do you speak Hebrew or Yiddish? No. Have you had a bar mitzvah? I've had matzah balls, it sounds close enough. That was more intense, way more intense than the phone interview. So I'm freaking out at that point. And I didn't have my Soviet passport with me as my only proof of Jewishness, right? And then it was the same time as it is right now of the year. And so she asked me this, do you know why we celebrate Hanukkah? Now, in my 25 years of Jewish life, I have never learned the story of Hanukkah. But in my then 10 years of American life, I have watched every single episode of Friends. And everything I knew about Hanukkah came from one of the episodes. All right, so I know it's shameful. So Ross is Jewish, okay, and naturally he is trying to teach his son about Hanukkah, you know, the way my parents never did. And so the problem, though, is that every time he tries, he keeps getting interrupted, like when Chandler barges in dressed as Santa. And so the only thing that Ross manages to say about Hanukkah through the entire episode is this: there were these people called the Maccabees, and that is all I have. So I'm standing there thinking, I fucking hate Chandler so much. Stupid name. But I was not going to admit defeat easily, so I looked my tormentress straight in her eyes, and I said, well, Hanukkah, there were these people called the Maccabees. And I'm finished with my answer at that point. But I could tell she was clearly waiting for more. And as we stood there and stared at each other in silence for about an eternity, I had this image of them taking me to a room and strip searching me for the ultimate evidence of Jewishness. And then escorting me in shame out of the airport. Because say what you want about the Soviets, but they were not barbarians over there to do that to a newborn baby. No. Kidding? Dodge that bullet. So all I could do, though, was stand there and watch as her face took a roller coaster ride from attention to expectation to annoyance, and then finally to understanding. You're one of those Russian Jews, aren't you, Shane? Make sure you learn the story during the trip. Have a safe flight. And I did learn the story. And though I may not be lighting the candles for Hanukkah next week, at least I now know why the Maccabees lit them. Happy Hanukkah, and Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. Thank you.